Order. Who can help me out with the roll call sheet?
I'll help you.
Perfect.
Ms. Elia Guevara, she's not present. Mr. Chairman, she did send an email confirming she is out of town. Mayra Hernandez, she's also not present, Mr. Chairman. She did the same, sent an email advising she will not be present. Cesar Garay,
Present.
Jan Villarreal,
Present.
Arturo Dominguez,
Present.
Mr. Ray Rocha, Rafael Dueñas,
Here.
George Altgeld, Julian Radofsky.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Perfect. Number 3 in our agenda is the approval of minutes for June 2021.
Motion to approve. Second.
There's a motion, there's a second for the call. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? None against? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I did want to add that on the minutes, the committee did pass that they wanted the draft minutes on the Friday packet for council members. So immediately following this one, before next Friday's Friday packet is due, we'll present them something similar that says draft, just so they can look at it until the committee conformity accepted at the next meeting.
Thank you for that.
Yes,
Do
sir.
we have any citizen comments?
There was none as of this morning, sir.
We'll move on to our action items. 5A, discussion and possible action regarding a presentation on proposed improvements to the neighborhood empowerment zone policy. Mr. Gerardo Pinzon, our building director, the floor is yours.
Yes, I'm sorry. All right, well, good afternoon. I'm here just presenting you, give you, I won't say brief, but it's got everything in here that we know. We have accepted this neighborhood empowerment zone abatement program since 2013, as you all have in your packet. I understand that Arnold sent you a copy of our ordinances. Okay. Originally, the plan is to basically incentivize economic development in areas that were blighted. And it went from the downtown area on to districts 2, 3, and 4. No, 2 through 8, except 4, I believe, is the only one that doesn't have it. Okay, so, and I'll show the map in a minute. So this here is a snapshot of our website. Okay, so any of you wishing to learn more about the NEC program can come into our website and you get these questions. Okay, as we went through, and so can you move on to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a District 3. So as you can see, it goes as far as back to beyond almost Magana Heights. So it's just a strip along the highways. Okay, then if you go to the next one, okay, this is District 8, which is the downtown area. This is the original one. That's what you call, District 8, but it's the number 1 NEC, how it started. It does include part of I-35 on the west side and Santa Maria. Okay, the next one.
San Bernardo.
Excuse me?
San Bernardo.
San Bernardo, yeah. And then District 2, which again, the areas that are by the highways is where these are targeting. Okay? And the next one, okay, this is the District 4. Okay, so I said District 4, but it doesn't include District 4. That we added a new district, there's not very similar, but there's a difference in the number, is NEC number 2, and that's just because district number 2 includes some new construction. Okay, and so new construction is not a black area sometimes. And so, from what I understand, this is before my time, so.
District 2 is who's a council person?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's,
Okay. So the districts for 1, 3, and 4 is mostly rehabs. You know, it includes new construction, but it's a vacant lot, and it can include the 100,000 to 140,000, which in this one, it's got to be at least 2,500 square foot house, or a 200,000 capital investment for that. And again, that's the difference, because you know it was already including new subdivisions. Okay. But other than that, everything is R1, R1A for residential. It has to be owner occupied or owned. It can't be a rental property. Okay. And you cannot. That can be done. If you don't own it, you cannot ask for the abatement. It has to be the owner who requests for the abatement. Okay, 20% of the value is basically what we're looking at. This is for the investor. Again, it's rehab and new construction for NECEC 2. 20% of the value. You cannot be tax delinquent, or you cannot be with any problem with your zoning. So, I mean, if you have issues with setbacks, or not in the proper zone, all that is looked at to make sure that you. Yes.
Districts in NEZ zones, are they lined up? Is District 1 Zone 1 and District
Yes.
2 Zone 2? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Go. Okay. Now for multifamily, okay, these are mixed-use commercial. The investment. Oh, and the NEC works is minimum investment 5 years tax abatement, and you could have a 10-year. Okay. So what is a tax abatement? I guess I didn't say that. I just jumped it up. Because a tax abatement, basically, what you do is you freeze your tax, your taxes on that property, okay, for 5 years. So whatever it's worth, when you apply, that tax is going to stay on that's how much you're going to be paying for the next 5 years.
that's only city
Improvement,
taxes. That's only city taxes right now.
That's correct. Does not
Before it
include.
was Webb County taxes, now it's just city.
That's right. Or it doesn't include LIC, UIC taxes, or the college. Okay. And the other thing is, so aside from the taxes being frozen, your permit fees are not, you don't pay for permit fees. And I have a little slide where I'll show you where that's an average, about $1,000 average of savings in just. So there it is. So for residential, normally about $1,000. Okay, and for multifamily, it's about $2,100, and the commercial is about $2,500. That's how much you save in building fee. And the abatement is anywhere between $841 per year, or $4,000, $6,000 for the 5 year on the multifamily, $1,200 for the 10 year, and in the commercial, $31,000, $3,100 per year. Okay, since this is not a total. This is the last 3 years. We've had 18 projects 3 years ago, and then it went up to 27. And right now, and then last year we finished with 31. Right now we're about at 13. So projects. So people are taking advantage of this program. Okay, here's a sample of a corner that was empty And once they got the abatement, that's what they ended up doing, yes.
There's a huge jump from 18 to 19. Is there a specific project that?
Yes, there was a couple of projects that happened, and then I think at the doctor's hospital in front of the cemetery. There's some projects that had started, okay, but then they found out about the program, they came back and applied, so they had to relinquish that permit and start. So most of these projects are, projects, huge projects that were already coming, so.
Do you know, do you have some examples of what they ended up being? Were they multifamily? Were they
Commercial.
We've had some multifamily. I have a list. I don't have it with me,
Yeah.
but I can provide a list of what those are.
Yeah, if you can,
yeah.
that would be great.
Yeah,
I'd love to see them.
there's been some. Do I have the next pictures?
You have examples, yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So here's some examples, yes. So we have the Popeyes, the Apartment on Lion, the USD, the SAC, the aquatics, the car washes that right now coming up, that's the one on Clark, and some attorney offices that were time and out ago. These are complete. Okay, so these are just samples of.
Is there a cap on the investment for new construction?
Yeah, I think it's 150,000.
Not the minimum investment. Is there a cap like?
Yeah, $10,000, I think.
No, as far as the actual, you mean, the actual
Investment?
Yeah, an abatement wise.
Yeah.
Say,
Yeah.
is it 10 million or, right? Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
No, but you don't get that type of money from me.
Right. No, I'm just saying, he's saying what the max is.
The max overall incentive you can receive,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the question.
I didn't say it.
You take the neighborhood, divide it by the tax rate, and get your max.
Well, let me continue on. I'll have to look at that. I don't know why I was $10,000.
It doesn't even get that high.
Okay, so another change that we made to expedite the process also is, because currently the process is you come with a project and we tell you about the NEC program. So we have to go to council, have council approve it before we can give you this abatement. So this expedited process is now, we review, and if you meet all the guidelines, we'll go ahead and give you the abatement, but we still have to go through council. If council comes back and denies it, then we'll have to charge you the fees. So in other words, you can start the process, but if somehow something happens along the way, we'll have to charge you the fees.
Are there any? Are you done with your presentation? I don't want to.
Yes, no.
Okay. Are there any sort of projects that are restricted, like, for example, and I hope no one here is in the
Yes.
business of a plasma center? You know, there are.
Yes,
What are
not
the-
beneath us, sexually oriented. So they're stipulated in your ordinance. There's some, there's about 10 different types that are not allowed. And it's at the end of the page, I think, of the. So I think the program is working. I mean, and people are taking advantage of this incentive. I know that last time we've been talking to Equitable, looking at, is this process should be that we go up to the businesses, or they need to know and let us know. So in other words, it's already coming. Why are we giving them telling them that they have to, or they should apply for this program? And so that's something we're trying to discuss. You know, was this made for everyone to apply, or only for those areas that needed it, and for those people there?
I have a question when it comes to the application process. I think, for example, one of the things that are required is to show 20% investment. Correct?
Yes.
If you are investing more than 20%, do you have to show that other documentation? Because I'm assuming you guys have to process all of this.
Yes, that's right. And so right now, with cost of materials, pretty much 20% has, so pretty much everything is, if you submit it, you're going to qualify.
But my question is so you guys have to confirm these, or at least...
Oh yeah, we actually get all the details. There's it's about 3-page. And then all the architectural, civil.
Do you think it's possibly overkill, since all we're looking for is to see if they qualify, to basically say that, like, maybe a good update to this program, or it will make it easier for the applicant and make it easier for the city from all the documents out there, is they only have to submit to prove that they at least hit the 20%, versus, let's say it's something that's going to be higher.
I guess the question would be, yes, it's going to be a lot easier for us to review. But rather than breakdown, provide us a total, but it should be something. Because we can go and compare, like for instance, you give us a square foot and what you're going to do. ICC, with the interest code, provides a valuation for that. So we could just go and tell you what it is for materials and labor.
But you have to provide receipts.
Excuse me?
You have to provide receipts. That's what I'm referring to, is the fact that they're they can essentially, if they are already going to start some work and they're pretty much immediately qualifying for that 20%, is it not enough for them to only submit that information that marks the 20%?
I guess with an affidavit, so that way they're saying, hey, do I qualify? I mean, it just depends on, I guess my concern is everything's really going to be up to the customer, the client, whoever is applying to provide that information. But at which point do we assure ourselves that they're really going to make that investment? And so after the fact, we verify. Because that's really what it comes down to. The difference is, are you going to make that investment to give you that abatement?
I'm not sure if we're understanding each other. Right now, if you do more than 20%,
Yes.
There's more documentation that you need to provide to make sure is all there. Why, one part, are we making the applicant submit more information and make sure all that's correct, when they already have enough information to submit to the city to prove the 20%? And furthermore, I'm looking at the other end because I know the biggest complaint has been you have to process all this. The more information they give you, the more they have to process. When the minimum standard is 20%, what is the point of making the city go through additional information and making the applicants submit additional information? I'm not referring to if they're going to do it or not. I'm referring to the packet.
What happens if he provides the 20% and never finishes the 100%?
See, there's going to be a verification.
I'm spending $100,000. I approve the 20%, but then I never prove that I really if you don't.
Well, but you need to get a certificate of
That's right,
occupancy.
we're gonna
You
get,
get a certificate of occupancy.
yeah, we can verify that through
You
inspection.
don't need the additional information.
For you to get the abatements, I mean, I guess you could, some of the waivers at the very beginning, right, but
Yeah,
What I'm thinking, and Julie, is, yes, I'm gonna invest 20%, but in reality, it's not that much. You end up doing $10,000 as opposed to $20,000 or $100,000.
but don't they have to submit the receipts?
No, because this is before they buy it. They're just showing us that this is what I'm gonna invest and put in the amount. So there's no verification afterwards. And so what we do is we compare what you gave us to what, the actual market value is. Oh yeah, so it does 25,000, 30,000, whatever that is, and so therefore we qualify.
But the same
So there's
thing.
not a vetting other than that. The vetting is the only thing that I guess I'm saying. But could there be a different way of doing it? Possibly. And I'm thinking, okay, so after the fact, bring the report,
You see, you're doing extra work because you're vetting that additional amount of the 20%.
that's right.
That's the only thing I'm questioning is that amount over the 20%. That's less work that the applicant needs to do and less work that the city needs to do. And they're meeting the minimum burden, or the minimum burden in order to get the incentive.
Yeah.
And it's certified with the certificate of occupancy once they move in, correct?
Mr. Pinton, on another note, what is classified as a homeowner? Someone who who has already paid 100% for their house, or if it's still being financed by the bank, are they considered homeowners?
There's some conditions in there that, like, you can be paid for it as long as you're the
as long as you own it, as long as you own it.
That's right.
Okay.
And there can't be any liens on it. So, those are the conditions.
Does anybody have any more questions for Mr. Pinton?
No, not good.
Just on my behalf, for the committee, I'd like to propose to council, in regards to the new construction under homes, I think 200,000 and a minimum of 2,500 square foot for a district like District Number 2, for a homeowner is a little high for residential. The whole point of this is to provide affordable housing. So I would just motion for council to lower that. I don't know if you guys have any suggestions to what that should look like. Because the whole point of this is to provide affordable housing in regards to. Go ahead.
Can you just repeat the motion so I can make sure?
Oh, let's discuss it first.
So the discussion, I'm in support. So the discussions that I've had with council, and I think the concerns overall have been this is a very old neighborhood empowerment zone that was created. How long ago at this point?
2013.
Yeah, 2013. And I think this will satisfy what you were bringing up yourself, but I think what we need to do is look at it as a whole and possibly update it to include what you're looking at, but also to expand further into making sure that is this really an incentive policy, or is this not providing enough of incentive in order to get to the end goal of having affordable, well-built homes, multifamily, I think we need to take a more comprehensive approach. So what I, propose and
Suggest
is let's create a subcommittee, you, me, whoever would like, and let's look at this as a whole, because there are really great neighborhood empowerment zones. I just sent one where it's a lot more comprehensive and it targets, specifically. You can say, okay, for this type of housing, there's going to be a bonus incentive if it's this, and this. Right now, our neighborhood empowerment zone is very kind of broad in what is being incentivized. So,
Honorable and Mr. Pinson, are you guys aware by when this needs to be brought back up to council?
No, the directive by council was just to bring it before the committee for any feedback on the current policies. So
Kind of like what Julian was saying, that yes, since 2013 we've made changes, evolving to what it is now, but no one ever questioned. To me, it feels that if it was incentivized lighted areas, but I think we're beyond that.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what we need to revise.
we need to me, we've made changes over time, but I think we need to bring it all back and understand, okay, to me, it's not that complex. I really think is we need to find out what are our goals again, and then make sure that these incentives bring those goals into fruition. Because just because we call something an incentive may not mean bring that specific thing that we're looking for. We need to make sure of that. So that's essentially what I'm proposing, is that we look at this as a whole and make sure and work with the building department and make sure what incentives can we do. Maybe we want to target hotspots and say, there's these additional incentives for these things, but only in these areas. Because if we just say, let's add all these incentives and keep these huge maps, you're really, one, is the city capable of doing
Right,
it?
and then, you also got to look at the economics for the city, where you start giving a lot of services away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I agree with you. Blighted areas that really need a shot in the arm because it becomes contagious. Somebody starts fixing one house and, hey, well, I want to fix the other, and that's really the whole intent of what this NEC should
Have their own criteria.
Yes, essentially. But so I guess my proposition, what you're saying, is let's create a subcommittee and really create an overhauled proposition that we can then take to council that really kind of encompasses targets, versus I feel like we've been piecemealing it the entire way. And I'm not saying we've lost our way, but I'm not sure if it's comprehensive anymore, if it's just kind of spread everywhere.
I think that we've been burdened with a program that, we as permits, we look at the NEC requirement that we have to do. We don't have a division or employees that can handle this type of economic improvement or impacts. So I guess I'm asking is that to consider having some FTE, and I'm going to go with my soapbox again, an FTE vehicle and computer to come with it, so that way that person, that program can be promoted properly.
Is there technology that can track all of this?
There, right now, actually, I was just telling Mr. Brenda that we currently upgrading to AVA, which is electronic plan review, and we only bought this much of the program. The program can do this much, and in there's a portal that you can say, hey, I want to apply for the NEC program, and you go in there, and it's going to give you, okay, submit this, and it automatically reviews the zone. So it works with our now line system that could be looking at zones, could be looking at leads, could be looking at all this for you, and it's done automatically to work. By the time you submit the paperwork, it's going to tell you qualify. So it does have that artificial intelligence to think about.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And I think going to what you're bringing up, the thing about these NEC, I'm pretty sure that, you know, the small projects, the large projects, the larger the project, the more time it typically takes the building department that's money today. And what I've seen in some is that, especially on the larger projects, you know, they have these great major incentives for those large, especially the multifamily with affordable housing attached to it. They have these big incentives for them, but they also have, you know, essentially a larger fee to review those plans, which, once again, a developer, when they look at these things, or a homeowner, they're looking, I think there's different objectives, and in those projects you can see that a developer is willing to pay that bigger fee to do this bigger project, and it'll help the building department with the labor on dealing with those bigger, larger projects. But none of that's addressed here. A big project or a small project is all the same. And for the smaller projects, I do think the fee needs to be, you know, if it's a simple, you know, smaller homeowner, you can have a huge fee. But it's also a simpler project for the building department to digest.
But in order for them to do all that work, additional work, or I mean, if they really keep into that module that they need, that would be something that they would need to process everything faster. So the people that are applying don't have to wait months to get back from the, if they're qualified or unqualified. I think that should be a recommendation as well. That module, so that they can really do this job well.
Do you know, maybe this is too much into the details, so are you saying that you already have that little model as the building department?
No, we don't have them on. We have.
You don't have it here.
We have a commercial plan review program. Okay, that's doing electronic review, but that software works with a portal. So this is the Project Docs. The OAS is an administrative portal that you go in there and you can select and choose garage permits or residential house or roof, a fence, or NEC program.
So you're saying that this addition doesn't just cover, you know, the needs of this?
It could be anything. It could be anything.
The benefit is that it can cover this, but you would also have the benefit of the building department, because you'd be able to cover everything else.
Even including the tax department, engineering department, environmental planning, and so I did have a meeting with all of them yesterday.
Is it being considered in the budget, the new budget?
Not yet. And that's where I'm at.
Okay.
So we still want to keep looking at this document and then modify it, bring it back to the table for approval of the fully reviewed document. Already approved with Mr. Pinzon's approval, and then present that document to council.
That's what I believe would be best, instead of just modifying this whole thing.
Yeah.
Let's
One little step at a time. Okay.
Look at it as a whole.
Let's look at it as a whole. And I think we can achieve that, because that is obviously extremely important.
Yeah.
I do want to include or emphasize the fact that this is an economic development.
Right, of course.
So we need to bring in that component in here, because you know, we're after the fact, not before, and that's why, you know, I want to make sure that we'll visit the old economic, maybe another tax incentive. NEC program is something that existed before, and we just brought it right here. Maybe there is another.
Maybe there's already another policy
From that would specifically target blighted areas or areas that are dead economically, no future.
Out and throughout this process, and see if there's, besides the updating of this, something else that, you know, maybe there's things that we thought that would be included in this that are better to be in a separate program.
I just so that we more comprehensive and not go with, okay, this was brought to the table, we looked at it, we fixed it to, suit our needs, but maybe something better out there. And again, and we go back to answer the question on that program. The program, we bring it in so we could just add a portal to this section in there, but I can benefit if we push for it here too.
Yeah.
No, so maybe like, how, if the medium household is X, the value, maybe we look at it and maybe if it's 30%, or you can constitute what is a blighted area,
Right.
as opposed to saying, well, these are, up here, so they don't need as much as some of the areas that really need it.
So just to give a perfect example of that, the way my thinking right now, qualified opportunity zones, the way they came, I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with those, but it was a federal tax incentive policy that they developed. Those were strictly, the maps were developed using the incomes of the area. So they took those blocks and said, if the income is this amount, then that would then qualify under the qualified opportunity zone. We can possibly take the same approach to not modify these maps at all, but using, this is just an example, using that as okay, these would be the hotspots of that.
Well, to me, more like the property tax value. The certain areas, I'd say at the bottom, 33% of tax value, right? Compared to all homes throughout the city, maybe those could constitute as blighted areas.
And I guess the question is, do we want to exclude or we want to include more people? Because at first it seemed
In my opinion, I think we need to target the right areas that blighted.
We're not expanding these maps. What we're doing is we are saying there are most likely hotspots within these maps that need to be brought back, and those may have a different incentive policy as the rest. Not to say that something in this map is going to get cut down, but maybe other areas will suddenly receive less, and those areas may receive more that are more blighted. So instead of, if we developed a whole new policy that increased the incentives, with these giant maps, one, it may not do that goal because just because this is a map, this doesn't mean this is all blighted. There may be pockets in there that are already developing that don't really need that big incentive right now.
And so the other component of it is, the tax impact and the implication of the budget. Expecting this, and so the more you start adding to this, the less we're going to get, and I don't know who's going to make that decision.
That's why I don't want to get into the motion of tweaking these. It's hard to understand what impact we're really having by just doing that versus looking at it comprehensively.
We can go over it, continue going over the details. I'll make the motion to further review the NEC and other tax abatement policies to see what is the best economic for our.
Put a subcommittee.
Yeah, we can create a subcommittee for further review of the NEC and other tax abatement policies to see which is the best economic development tool for our city. Second. Anybody who would like to serve on the subcommittee? Julian, I'll help you out as well. Policy. And Mr. Villarreal. Perfect. We'll make for the call. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any against? None against. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Bouton. Action item 5B. Discussion and possible action regarding MOU agreement between the Tammy US EDC and the City of Laredo for for partnership focused on state and federal contracting. Finally, I'm excited for this.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you very much for allowing us to put this on. This has been ongoing for a while. This was at the request of Councilmember Marte Martinez when he kind of heard about what the Economic Development Department was doing with the TAMU SBDC that was focusing on government contracting, getting more businesses up to speed, trained, tuned in, to understand the benefits of these types of programs, and to get more businesses 8A and Hub Zone certified in Laredo. That was a big conversation that the city and TAMU SBDC had, made its way to council. Council made the formal motion to say, hey, you know what, let's not just talk about it, let's put this in stone, if you will. Let's put an MOU together, and let's kind of hold each other accountable to see, where this could go. So, over the past couple of months, with the help of the TAMU SBDC, we've developed an agreement. It's gone back and forth. We've put our input, they put theirs. We're going to include Mile 1 and the NADC. We're going to kind of use the existing services that we're already doing to try to nudge this forward. So Mile 1 is already, giving the training. They're already giving the information. We're going to try to leverage that. SBDC is doing the same. And, on behalf of the city, we're going to try to see how we can work in there with the Economic Development Department to get this program going. So with that being said, we were talking about it, me and Teclo, about 2 weeks ago, and we, kind of went past this, that we hadn't brought it before the committee. So before it goes to council, we wanted to what we're working on to see if you had any feedback or if there's anything, we could add to the agreement, or any ideas that you guys maybe had on how we could, make this thing better. Well, the agreement, we don't have the agreement here, but basically what it is just training, providing information, and
Well, without the agreement, it's hard to, I think it's a very good step, but we need to look at what's in the agreement. Yeah.
okay, all right. So we're going to bring the agreement back to the committee so you can look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you for including this in this.
Sure.
Staff's report. 6A, briefing on the City of Laredo Advisory Board rules and regulations. Can you help us out with that?
Of course. In your packet, you'll find there's two documents. There are two ordinances, I believe. One is the 2019 and one is a 2018 ordinance regarding the boards, commissions, and advisory boards. Back in 2018, this ordinance that you see before you had general rules because not every commission had their own bylaws to follow. So the council adopted kind of general rules and outlines for them to follow. One of them is the meeting frequency, which we're already doing. We meet once a month. We've already adopted our schedule. We do that, a year in advance. We adopt all of our dates in advance. The location of the meetings, that was a big one because COVID forced us to go virtual. I know that we had gone around and said that, hey, it was mandatory that everything was supposed to be in person now. Really what the ordinance is telling us and what the legal department is telling us is that if at all possible, yes, they want us to be now in person. If you need to call in, we can still accommodate for that.
Perfect.
But, we do need to try and meet in person if we can.
So
right?
you can't call in then?
You can call in, but what we don't want is, to call in all the time. Yes, so we want to try to meet in person as much as we can. So that was one that we wanted to...
We want people that care, that want to be here, as opposed to there's, well, I'm appointed, like us, we've all been.
That's correct too, and with our department, like you see all this packet and everything that goes into putting this stuff together, it's a lot of work. So to your point, Mr. Reda, yes, that's what we want.
We got to do our share. There are some people that don't, they're appointed, but they don't really.
No, I understand.
That's
We'll take it.
what this is take.
And then another one, like we experienced today, which was good, the recording, we can't